Hey folks, DC here. Got a bit of a different video today. It is Thanksgiving Day 2019. Happy Thanksgiving, folks. I'm actually heading to the gym this morning. And it's just part of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not talking about bees or gadgets, although I am doing bees later. I'm going to talk about health and fitness and weight loss. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the local bariatric group called NewFit here in Brevard County, and passed on a bit of a horror story with that whole thing. A little bit about my history. For those who don't know this, I was overweight back in 1995 or 96. I'm not sure what year it was. I realized that my waist was bigger than the inseam of my pants, and wasn't really happy with that. So I decided to make some changes and took a good look at what I was eating for food, and the fact that I really wasn't doing much exercise. I had pretty much a sit-down job in the warehouse. So made some changes, started keeping track of what I ate, and started exercising. Found that I really liked to exercise. Go figure. And in the first year, dropped about 40 pounds, and I've kept it off. So been like 20-something years since I started doing this, and I still enjoy it, and heading for the gym this morning. And I can say that for the last, since I started this thing back in like 95 or 96, I've kept track of what I eat pretty much every week. It's not, sometimes I'm really strict with it, and sometimes I just kind of guess at a little bit, but I do keep track. And I've exercised at least 3 days every week since then, and the minimum exercise is always a minimum of 15 minutes. Even if I just go and run a mile and a half, I do something minimum 3 days every week, at least 15 minutes. Most weeks I work exercise 5 days a week. I intersperse some cardio stuff with some resistance stuff, because it's all about balance. Okay, enough on that. Talk about weight loss in general. There's only one way to sustain weight loss and a healthy body, and that is nutrition and exercise. You have to watch your nutrition, keep track of what you're eating, and you have to exercise. Nothing else will work. There's no pills, there's no gimmicks. Nothing else works. You gotta exercise, you gotta watch what you eat. That's it. Now, having said that, weight loss surgery. Is it a good thing? For some people, I think it is, because at times you can get to a point where your body is so far out of shape and you're so heavy that any form of exercise can actually become dangerous for you. And so having that weight loss surgery is going to cause an initial significant drop in weight. And pretty much for the first year after surgery, you don't even have to try to lose weight. You're going to lose weight. You're going to drop like 75% of whatever amount you are overweight is just going to come right off of you. So it makes it easier to get to the gym. Now, the problem is, the reason why you're overweight in the first place is because you're a food addict. And there's a disconnect between different addictions. And I see this in a lot of people, and I see it in families, and I've got a personal experience here because my wife had bypass surgery. I'm going to get into that whole story with that. But we accept the fact that an alcoholic can never have a drink. You can't have a beer. You can't have a shot of whiskey. You can't have a glass of wine. You're an alcoholic. You cannot have a drink. But for some reason, we think that a food addict is okay to have an occasional cookie or a piece of ice cream or some ice cream or cake. You can't do it, okay? You got to the point where you're thinking about having gastric bypass surgery or gastric sleeve or some type of weight loss surgery. You have to get it in your head that you cannot do any of the things you did to get you in this place in the first place. Because if you do that, you're going to fail. First thing you got to know. Second thing is, you need to have a decent support group. You need to have a WTF friend. And that could be somebody that's either going through the whole process too, or maybe somebody you work with, or somebody you know who actually exercises a lot. You need somebody in your life, and it can't be your spouse. And if it's your spouse, it's going to cause so much stress. It's phenomenal. You need somebody in your life who's willing to get right in your face and say, what are you doing at the McDonald's drive-thru? What are you doing buying a Starbucks coffee? You need someone who's going to do that. Someone's going to call you who's going to hold you accountable to keeping on the program. And you got to have a program. You got to measure portions, you got a meal plan, and you have to exercise. If you're not going to do this for the rest of your life, do not invest the money in surgery because you're going to fail. Right? Bottom line, they don't tell you all this at the NewFit folks. They give you little bits and pieces here. They talk about support, but there is no real support, and we're going to get into that in a minute too. The only thing NewFit has is once a month in Vieira and once a month in Palm Bay, they have a meeting at the hospital, and this meeting is pretty much just pre-op. My wife and I went to a lot of these meetings before her surgery, and typically there's anywhere from 8 to 25 people. There may have been more than that once. I don't remember ever having more than 25 people. And at all these meetings, you have maybe 5 or 6 that are post-op less than 1 year. You may have 2 or 3 post-op that are more than a year, but the rest of the people are all pre-op. And they talk about how this is a support group. This is not a support group, okay? This is an information gathering. A support group would be something for people that are post-op more than a year, more than 3 years. And that doesn't exist. And I spent 2.5, 3 years trying as hard as I could to put together a long-term post-op support group, and it made them mad, and they threw me off their Facebook page for doing it. And as a result of that, my wife pretty much failed her whole process. Let me back up on her process. She started the journey 5 years ago, decided that she wasn't happy with the way she felt, wasn't happy with the fact that she was using the CPAP, borderline diabetic. She lost one of her knees. Her feet give her problems, back give her problems. So she decided, she tried everything else. She's going to do the weight loss surgery thing. So we went up there to Vieira, met with the doctor, met with the staff. They looked at our insurance and said, oh yeah, your insurance will cover this. No problem. We've worked with these people before. We'll give you the program. You follow this program for 6 months. Then you can come in and have your surgery. You'll be on your way. It's okay, cool. Everything's fine. We follow their program for 6 months. Put the application in, the insurance company denies it. They say, no, you forgot to do such and such back in the first month. So I'm a little irritated. So I talked to the doctor and I talked to their staff. Said, you told me that you worked with my insurance company before. I said, oh no, well, we've worked with Blue Cross, but a different Blue Cross, and this is from a different place. The rules are a little different. So we have to start over. So we start over. 6 months later, they deny it again. It's like, no, wait, you forgot this too. You did something else wrong. And I'm like, what's going on here, folks? I realize that, I got to read the fine print too. I'm responsible for part of this thing, but I don't work with insurance companies on a regular basis. These medical people do. Why don't they catch these? Why don't they tell me what we're supposed to do to make this work? Okay, so we start over. 6 months later, again, they say no. Okay, this is 3 times. 18 months have gone by since the first visit when the doctors and the staff told us, oh, we've worked with your insurance company before, no problem. 6 months, no problem. We start over again. Finally, after 2 years and 3 months, the insurance company says, okay, you finally dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's. You're approved for surgery. So 3 years ago, next week, my wife had her surgery. And kind of a funny anecdote to this whole thing, a week after her surgery, the insurance company sent us a letter saying they denied it. So it's like, too bad now, you can't take it back. Had the surgery, we're all excited, things are going to be great. We've had discussions. We're going to do this right. Okay, going to follow a program. So for the next 8 or 9 months, started losing weight. Things were looking pretty good. About 10 months post-op, she dropped about 90 pounds. She was feeling better. She wasn't using her CPAP anymore. Her blood sugar levels were more under control. She wasn't on the edge of being diabetic. She felt better. She looked better. All of her friends told her how great she looked losing the weight. Things were looking pretty good. About that same time frame, she took a different job, a different shift from mine, and that's another thing we'll talk about too. If you're doing this and you and your spouse are working the same shift and you decide to change shifts, bad idea. You're going to cause a lot of stress, and I'll cite that in a minute. Took a different job. About 10 months, 11 months post-op, I knew that the whole thing was a loss because I caught her one night going to work, and on her way to work, she stopped and she bought some fast food, and I knew at that instant, I knew that it wasn't going to work. So now we are 3 years post-op, and she's put all of her weight back on because you can't blame anybody. It's an individual thing. She's a food addict. She's never come to grips with the fact that she's a food addict, and there's no support. I've pulled my hair out. I've tried everything I can to get the NewFit people to come up with a support group. I made suggestions on their Facebook page of different things that people could do, and it's amazing that the folks on the Facebook page think they need to ask the monitor, the administrator, if it's okay to do this. It's your life, people. You can do what you want to with your life. You don't have to get permission from mom to live your life. So I'm still frustrated. We're 3 years out. I'm still trying to find a way to get some support. And things have kind of gotten worse now because 3 months ago she was sitting at a traffic light and she got rear-ended. And now on top of the weight she's carrying around, which is causing problems, she's got bulging discs and ruptured discs and torn rotator cuffs and she's back to snoring again, and she needs a CPAP, but she won't admit it, and her blood sugars are high again, borderline diabetic. So that's my horror story. If you're thinking about doing the weight loss surgery, a couple things you need to do beforehand. Before you even start, you need to find that WTF friend, that person, not a relative, because your relative's probably not going to do this, and not your spouse, because all that's going to do is cause problems in the house. You got to find somebody that you can make an agreement with that says, we're going to go to the gym together 3 days a week for at least 30 minutes. And I don't care if you just get on the elliptical and walk. It's actually one of the worst things you can do. You want sustained weight loss, you need to do resistance training. You need to build muscle. You need to do bench presses and squats and deadlifts and you do pull-ups. Work your major muscle groups. If you just do those exercises, do bench presses, do pull-ups, do squats and deadlifts. If you just do those exercises, you will build muscle all over your body, and you will lose weight doing that more than you will by getting on an elliptical machine or a treadmill or a bike. Guaranteed. Okay. And if you're a lady and you think by doing those exercises you're going to get big bulky muscles, it won't happen. You haven't got the testosterone to get big bulky muscles. Train your muscles, build muscle mass, you'll burn more calories. Anyway, you have to have the support before you start. And you got to start making habits. Now I realize part of the deal with the 6-month thing is if you lose too much weight, you're not going to qualify for the thing. Okay, so don't go try to lose weight. Make the habit of going to the gym and do it at the gym. I like training at home because I have the discipline to do it at home. I think home gyms are great. I think some home equipment is great. The majority of people in this country will not train at home. Most people buy exercise equipment for Christmas, and then by Easter it becomes a coat rack. Okay, so don't do that. Join a gym. Hook up with somebody who exercises on a regular basis. I've been doing, for the last 5 years, I've been doing an evening thing in back of my church 2 nights a week. Anybody who wants to come can come exercise with me. I've had people there. I've had as many as 6. I've had as few as just me. But find somebody who's going to work with you on a regular basis. And it's got to be the person that if you don't show up at the gym, they're going to hound you for why you didn't show up. And if they catch you in Starbucks, they're going to slap it out of your hand and say, are you stupid or what? There's a significant cost in this weight loss surgery. I'm not going to get into what it cost us. It's phenomenal. Every time I think about it, I want to puke. It's going to cost you a lot of invested time and finances to do this. Don't pour it away. Don't waste your time and money. Get the friend, and remember something else. The folks at NewFit, they are not your friends. It's a business. They want to make money. Okay? No matter what else happens, they want to make money. They talk about support. They have a small gym over in the over by the hospital, over by homes. They want you to join their gym. That's their idea of support, paying them a monthly fee to join their gym. That's not support. My thought on long-term support is once a week you get together with people that have had the same surgery and you talk about what you did right and what you did wrong and how you're going to fix it. You know, be accountable to each other. Make a commitment to, I'm going to stick on this. I'm not going to go to Starbucks. I'm not going to go to McDonald's. I'm not going to do these things. And I'm going to meal plan. I'm going to sit down on Saturday or Sunday and I'm going to put together meals, lunch for the next week or something of that sort so that I'm not tempted to go eat junk when I go to work. You got to do this. Do it pre-op. Make the habits before it happens. And it's a lifetime. Okay, I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I don't have a problem with it. I'm the type of person that I realize what it takes. And I don't need the accountability partner. I can do it on my own. And I know other people do that. There was a young lady that had the surgery right at the same time my wife did. I don't know that she's got an accountability group, but I see her in the gym in the mornings when I'm there. 4 o'clock in the morning, she's there for 45 minutes, at least 3 days a week. She's figured it out. You have to do this to make it work. Okay? Figure it out, folks. You have to do this to make it work. There was a couple used to do YouTube videos over in Washington State, I believe. Husband and wife, they both had the surgery. For like the first 2 years, they were making videos on a regular basis. They were perky. They were happy. Things were going great. And the process of this whole thing, they made a bunch of life changes, which really screwed things up. They built a house quite a ways away from where they worked, which caused a lot of commuting and a lot of stress on that. You're adding to your stress. It's very hard when you're making these huge changes in your life and you try to fit time in for the gym and work things out. One of the first things that sacrifices is you give up the gym time because you're commuting back and forth to work. Another thing that happened in this case, and I know another couple, same thing. One of them had a job opportunity for an increase in pay, which seemed attractive, but it meant changing their work schedule. So instead of being on the same schedule, ended up on opposite schedules. Just being on opposite schedules is going to stress out your relationship no matter what. But when you're on opposite schedules and you're trying to work out going to the gym and meal plan and work your lives together and stay on program, forget it. It's going to be so hard to do, and it's going to cause so much more stress. So think about your life, okay? This has got to be a long-term commitment, and adding any form of stress to this thing is just going to make it so much harder to make it happen. So there's my 2 cents. I've wanted to say something about this for the last year. It was a year ago when they threw me off the Facebook group, and it was the only reason they threw me off is because I was trying to put together a long-term support group. I was trying to get 8 or 10 people that had gone through the program to meet once a week to help my wife, because I know her personality. If she doesn't have somebody to help her, it ain't gonna happen. And if I try to talk to her, I'm just her nagging husband. It just makes her mad. And her family's not going to help her. Her family doesn't understand what it means to be a food addict. And the majority of the world doesn't understand what it means to be a food addict. They can understand an alcoholic. They can understand a crack addict. They don't understand a donut addict. They don't understand a food addict. If you're overweight, you're probably a food addict. You got to come to grips with that. That's my rant. Have a happy Thanksgiving. So I finished my workout at the gym, and while I was there, I thought of a few things that I wanted to say and didn't. I was going to edit it into the middle of the other video. I think I'll just tag it to the end of this. First thing is the cost. I'm not going to get into what we actually spent on this thing. But I'll say this. If I could get my wife back, and I want to say this right, I want my wife back, the person, not the body, but the person. We used to do stuff together. We used to enjoy life together. We haven't enjoyed life together in at least 2 years. And I don't know what it was that happened, but something happened. If I could get my wife back, I'd spend that money again. I'd spend 3 times that money again to get our life back to where it was years ago. We've been married 35 years, January, long time. Yeah, so anyway, there's that issue. I know in a lot of relationships, that financial thing is going to cause significant stress. And I won't argue it's causing me some stress, but it's again, it's one of these things. It's a long-term thing. We've been together a long time. I'd like to get us back to where we were. That's the first thing. Second thing is, along with that WTF friend you need to tell your family the same basic thing. Because family are notorious enablers, and I have first-hand experience of this, okay? Your family will not hold you accountable. And I don't care if it's a mother, daughter, sister, brother, father, son, whatever it is, whatever sibling it is, family doesn't hold people accountable. And you need to tell your family, if you're going to have this surgery, everybody in your life that's close to you needs to know the same thing. They need to know that if you're doing something stupid, they should tell you you're doing something stupid. You might get angry at first, but in the long run, it's better for you. They need to know that you're an addict, and that's where Alcoholics Anonymous has got this pegged. AA's been around for a long time. They've helped a lot of people. The thing with AA is you walk in an AA meeting, everybody there has got the same problem. You're all a bunch of alcoholics. And the first thing you do in an AA meeting, you admit to being an alcoholic. You've got to admit to yourself and to everybody around you that you have an eating disorder. You got to tell them flat out, I cannot eat these foods. And you got to tell them also that when you start putting on weight, they should say something. But this tears me up to see, not just in my family, but in other people's families and friends that just won't say squat. You got a brother or a sister that has had this surgery and they put weight back on, you need to get in their face and say, what are you doing? Why did you have the surgery to get healthy if you're not going to get healthy? All right, so I ranted on that too. Those are the things I wanted to cover. It's got to be a group effort. You can't do this if you could do it by yourself, you'd be doing it already, okay? That's where like self-help books come in. Our country sells so many self-help books. It's phenomenal. Because people are trying to get better at so many things. Self-help books don't work because you can't help yourself. There was a movie with this. I can't remember what the movie was. If you could help yourself, you wouldn't need a self-help book. So tell the people around you, whatever friends you've got, even if it's just one friend, tell your family. Don't tell your spouse. You're going to have enough stress in the house as it is already. You don't need to argue about this too. Tell people around you to hold you accountable. That's the only way it's going to work.